Today we'll be doing another lesson in the nonfiction series. I want to remind you what we've already learned. So, nonfiction readers grow knowledge. We need to pay attention to the details, put the parts of the text together in your mind, ask questions, which is always a good idea, and then think, what is this book and this part teaching me? So if you remember last time, we were reading this story, and this story is all about animal eyes. So I know that the author is trying to teach me about facts about animals' eyes. Okay? So we are going to be doing more of that today. This book, today I want to teach you that readers often ask, how does this book go? So that means, how is the story told in this book? So first starts off by asking you what if you had animal eyes, okay? Then each page is telling you about a different animal. Each page is talking about a different animal. So this book is set up this way, but other books can be set up differently. Some books are all about one animal, right? So it just depends on the book. So we're going to be reading this book some more and talking about what questions we can be asking and what the book is teaching you. And we're always going to pay attention to the details and put the parts of the text together, okay? And I want you to be thinking about what animal's eyes you would want to have. So if you had to pick, I made you pick, which animal of the ones that I read today would make you the most happy if you had to. Some of them don't look very good, so I understand it's kind of tricky, but we're going to try it. Okay, so this one looks funny. This is called the four-eyed fish. The four-eyed fish. And I'm thinking it's called that because you can see there's four eyes, like 1, 2, and then 3, 4. So it's like an eye on top of another eye. But I'm wondering why the fish has so many. So then I'm looking at this picture over here. Sorry, the sun's kind of annoying. Over here. And I'm wondering if it's because one eye goes above the water and the other eye goes below the water. I'm wondering if that's what happens. What do you think? So before I even read any of the words, really, other than the title up here, I'm looking at the picture and trying to figure out what I think the author is going to teach me. I'm asking questions like, why would a fish want that? Okay. Maybe I'm also thinking that now that I'm looking at it even closer, I'm noticing that she's riding a bike and she's reading at the same time. So I wonder if 2 eyes are looking at the book and then 2 eyes are looking at the road where she's riding her bike. Let's see. Four-eyed fish. A four-eyed fish really has only 2 eyes, but each eye has 2 different parts. Each of these 4-eyed parts has its own pupil. This fish keeps half of its eye underwater looking for insects and smaller fish to eat, and it keeps the other half of each eye above the water watching for birds and other predators that are after a fish for dinner. So that means that I was right. So if this is the water, 2 of the eyes are underneath, like this, and they are looking for things to eat. And then 2 of the eyes are above the water looking for birds or whatever else would try and eat it. Okay? Fact, 4-eyed fish usually travel in groups called schools. So there are always lots of eyes watching in every direction. If you had 4-eyed fish eyes, you could read while riding your bike and never take your eyes off the road. So that's cool. You could do both. So would you like these eyes? What did the author teach you? Think about that. This animal is called a yellow mongoose. And I don't really know much about this animal, so I'm excited to read about it since I don't know much about it or anything about it. So then I could read it to find out some facts about it. Yeah, a yellow mongoose's eyes have rectangular pupils. So ours are like circles, like the black part of my eye is the circle in the middle right here. But theirs are rectangular. So they're like that shaped. or the shape of one of these, rectangle. These give it a very wide view of its world. That means a mongoose can easily spot insects and lizards to catch and eat. It can also keep watch for hunters such as jackals sneaking up from the far left or right. When there is danger, its special eyes can also help it spot escape routes. The yellow mongoose is mainly active during the daytime when it can see best. So his eyes are wider, the pupils are wider so they can see more in both directions to help them stay safe. Fact: to see farther and peek over bushes, the yellow mongoose stands up tall on its hind feet. So it stands up like that down there. If you had yellow mongoose eyes, you'd always win at laser tag because you could always see when someone's coming. So would you like these eyes? I guess they don't look too bad, but I don't know if I want them still. Oh my goodness. Are you ready for this one? I don't know. This is a colossal squid. Let's see. A colossal squid has the biggest eyes in the world. They have really big eyes. Each eye is as big as a soccer ball. That's probably at least this big. That's like bigger than my head. At the back of each eye is a part that produces its own light. It's like having a built-in flashlights that are always on and glowing brightly. This makes it easy for the colossal squid to find fish to eat, even though it lives deep down in the ocean where it's always dark. Fact: scientists can't take photos of living colossal squid because they live so deep underwater. Our closest peek is seeing their cousin, the giant squid, but their eyes can't produce light. So these colossal squids live so deep in the water that we actually can't see them very well. If you had colossal squid eyes, you could go on nighttime hikes without a flashlight. So this is another animal that can see very well in the dark. And now her eyes are humongous. Llama. It's a llama. It's kind of beautiful eyes, actually. I don't think she looks too bad. She has long eyelashes. Llama. A llama has black bubble-like crystals that form a fringe at the top and the bottom of its pupils where light enters the eyes. In the bright sunlight, these crystals turn into bands that stretch across the pupils. These bands block so much light from entering the llama's eyes that it's like having built-in super dark sunglasses. So that's nice. You wouldn't have to wear sunglasses. A llama's thick, bushy eyelashes are also make great sunshades. So then they protect their eyes so that the sun's not hurting them. So when you go outside and you have to squint because it's so bright, if you had llama eyes, you wouldn't have to do that. Fact: a llama's extra long eyelashes let it feel when it's getting close to something so it doesn't get poked in the eye. If you had llama eyes, you wouldn't be blinded by bright spotlights during your big solo. So bright lights wouldn't hurt your eyes. So that would be kind of cool to have. And I don't think these eyes look very bad, so maybe I'd pick them. So I could still look pretty. Not ugly. This one is a desert horned viper, and this looks like a snake. If you like snakes, you can see the horns above its eyes right there. That's the boy with the viper eyes. A desert horned viper's eyes have clear eyelids that do not open or close. That means this snake can't blink to clean its eyes. So instead of blinking like we do like this, their eyes are always open. Its eyelids work like safety goggles. Because it lives in hot deserts, the viper usually waits until it's cooler at night to go hunting. Then this snake slit-shaped pupils open wide so it can find a mouse or a lizard for dinner. Fact, each time a desert horned viper sheds its scaly skin for a new one, it gets new clear eyelids too. That's gross. I don't want that. If you had horned viper eyes, you wouldn't need safety goggles to do science experiments. I don't think I want these eyes. Doesn't seem too fun to me. But they look kind of cool. Let's see, how many more? We're almost, oh, this is the last animal of the book. I've never actually seen this animal before, and I think it's pronounced tarsier. I'm not exactly sure, so I'm just doing my best, right? Because that's what we do when we read. We try our best. So it's kind of cute, though. Looks like that. It's the boy. Let's find out. A tarsier's eyes are a huge part of its little body. Its giant eyes and large pupils are perfect for hunting tiny insects during dark nights. A tarsier can't move its eyes because of how its skull bones support them. Luckily, it can turn its head far enough to look over its shoulder and see what's behind it. That way, it can keep an eye out for predators, such as wildcats or large snakes. So instead of moving his eyes like us, it turns his head instead. Fact, each of the tarsier's giant eyes weighs more than its brain. They have really big eyes and a small brain. If you had tarsier eyes, you could easily watch for baseball stealers in time to throw them out. So you could always move your head really quickly to watch for them. Wild animal eyes could be fun for a while, but you don't need your eyes to light the way or to look in two directions at once. You never use your eyes to spot something 2 miles away or to help you swallow your dinner. So if you could keep wild animal eyes for more than a day, what kind would be right for you? Luckily, you don't have to choose. Your eyes will always be people eyes. They will be what you need to read books, check out the stars at night, and see the people you love all the time. And then just like the other book, it tells you some facts about your eyes. So this is another reason I can tell this book is nonfiction, because it has a diagram right there. This is called a diagram. And it shows you all of the parts of the eye. So, and that's the end of the story. Remember that nonfiction books are trying to teach you something. So just like the other day when you read a nonfiction book, I would like you to pick a new one and read it, and then ask questions while you're reading it, and then go find someone at your house. Remember your mom or your dad or your grandma or grandpa or aunt or uncle or brother or sister or stuffed animal or doggy or kitty, and tell them something that you learned, right? Because we always should be learning, and books should always be teaching us new things. So read for 30 minutes, okay? I'm proud of you. You'll do a great job. Find a place that you won't be distracted. You could even read to your brother or sister if you have one. That would be fun. Or a stuffed animal. Put a stuffed animal on your lap. And you can do it and have fun. And I can't wait to hear about what book you read.